Okay, let's look at the inside top of the 500A. Up here is a chart with all the different combinations of stitches, and if you need to do something specific, it's stated right here. It says, like on combination patterns, set lever at 3, meaning over here, don't go to 5, and for variations, set lever at 2 or 4. So it's got all the specific instructions, which is why when they're found without the lids, you can still use the machine, but you should be aware of, let me just get rid of that. You should be aware of the different specifics that the machine recommends, and so that information would end up being in the manual. This is where the cams go, and you will find out that to remove a cam, you have to just have the brown dial off of special. It has an extra spool pin so that you can work with that closed and the spool pin on the top. And now I probably won't be able to get that back open again without popping it off. Maybe I can. This is the Bobbin Winder, and it's similar to the 237 Bobbin Winder. When you engage it, it pushes a Bobbin Winder tire against the hand wheel function, and that's how you wind the bobbin. Some of these are oiling points. Now, this screw here and this screw here remove the cover. Allow you to remove the cover. So let's just take this off. And when I closed it, the screw settled down again. I'm trying to hold the camera and get this off of here at the same time. And grab a screwdriver. I may not have gotten this one screw all the way out. It comes off extremely easily. When you're using two hands and the screws don't settle back onto the machine. So there, we'll remove the cover. Now, the purpose I'm making this video, so here's the Bobbin Winder tire. And to replace that, you probably, it's not in the regular manual, it's in the service manual. I haven't read it yet. You probably remove that screw, lift it up, replace the tire, put it back. But check a service manual or look online. This is called a cam stack. And I want to just explain to you, first of all, why I didn't have zigzag. So right now I have the machine set at AK3, which is straight stitch. And this machine will do straight stitch. If I were to move those dials to any of the zigzag or pattern stitches, what happens is this lever here controls the needle position, and these, as you can see, have different designs in them, and there's a little pin there that protrudes from the cam stack and hits this. And so this is a plate that moves right there. So any changes you make on these knobs are involving the needle position and the stitch pattern or straight stitch. So the stitch pattern or the lack of one. And what this paddle does is move this arm. So once you change the settings here, you have two little protruding arms that hit against this paddle in different ways. And when the paddle moves, it moves your needle position. So on my machine, this part was frozen. Now, when I buy an antique machine, like from the 1800s or something, I expect it to be frozen. For some reason, I don't always think that way with these, and yet that's what was going on. So I'm moving the paddle, and that's how you get your zigzag. This is the pressure on the fabric. So now you can see that when you don't have the manual and you're just guessing as to what these mean, you're just guessing. And it's very simple to figure out, even without a service manual, how things connect. It's like a simple, perfect machine. Everything is visible to me right now, how this works. And so by taking the top off yesterday and fiddling around with different settings to see exactly what they were doing, checking it against the manual, that's how I knew that this was the one area that needed oiling. And now the mark on the bed on this machine is right there, and it looks to me like sewing machine oil dripped there for so long that it made a mark. It's got dots of oil, which means perhaps that this has frozen up before. But it doesn't mean I need to make major adjustments. It means I need to keep it oiled, and I need to run the machine on zigzag until this is really fluid and no hesitation at all. Now, the presser bar might actually be slightly involved in this machine, because when I have the presser foot up, you don't have any noise, you don't have anything. It's on straight stitch right now, so you won't see anything moving other than the needle bar going up and down. But when I put the presser bar down, I get slightly more hesitation. So even though it's not being used for the stitch, it's connected. So once you start to sew in straight stitch, because that's still a little stiff, and it's not fluidly doing zigzag yet, I'm feeling it as a little bit of a hesitation. This is a finely tuned machine, and you just have to keep it tuned. So that's a basic explanation of why you really need to read the manual. For example, I would have thought B would be AK3 is straight stitching. But what that does is all your straight stitching is done with the needle in the left position. And in my mind, I would have probably designed it to be BK3, so that all of your straight stitching is done in the center position, but they moved it to the left. C is the right needle position, and that involves how well or wide your zigzag is. So this is what the original manual looks like. And the oiling of the machine is in the back. It's not in here how to change the Bobbin Winder tire. And this is a service manual for either the 500 or 503 that I forget where I had purchased it a while ago. I do think they're still available. I've had this for a long time. So what you can't find in here, you should be able to find in there. I'll also put the link to the vintage sewing, vintage Singer Sewing Group, because they have all kinds of people that can help you with any kind of a problem that comes up. And they also have some of these, I don't think they have the manual, but they have certain aspects of the service manual in the files. So I'll put that there. But now you can see, when I looked at this yesterday, that one part of the shaft in front of my fingernail is the only place that looked gunky. I can see dust and a little bit of built up oil otherwise, and the Bobbin Winder tire is cracked and needs to be changed. But basically this is fairly clean. It's also easy to figure out. And the top comes off very easily, goes back very easily. This is how you would get the faceplate off, just by pushing it up and taking it off and then reversing that to put it back on. It's actually simpler than it looks to take care of and to understand.